All right. Call the City Council meeting to order for July 14th, 2020, and go through a roll call. Make sure everyone is available. Jason Beebe, are you present?
I'm present.
Janet Hutchison?
Here.
Patricia Youngman?
Present.
Gail Merritt?
Present.
Jeff Papke?
Here.
Teresa Rumble? Teresa, are you here? I don't hear you at this point. Teresa, when you get a chance, please check in. And Steve Uffelman is here. Staff members, who is present? Steve Forrester?
Liz Schutte.
Who's that?
Liz.
Liz, thanks you. Thanks, Liz. Okay.
Okay, Josh, are you present? Let me just run through.
Sure.
Josh?
Yes.
Eric?
Yes.
Lori Hooper? Chief
She's
Dale
present.
Cummins?
I told her she didn't need to call.
Here, sir.
Okay. Who are we missing in staff that I did not call on, please?
Scott
Casey?
Smith.
Scott?
Lisa on.
Lisa? Lisa, are you with us?
I'm here.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think we are missing anybody else. Anybody else?
All right.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Mr. Forrester, are there any additions or deletions from the agenda?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, we have two tonight. First addition to the agenda will be under staff reports and requests. We have Muriel with Cook County Health Department to give an update on COVID. And the second item would be number 5 under resolutions. We have resolution 1453 specific to public comment. Those are your two for this evening.
All right, thank you. We have the consent agenda has been circulated, which is a meeting brief from June 23rd. Are there any questions or concerns about the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as circulated?
This is Councilor Merritt. I will move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, Gail. Is there a second?
I'll second that one.
Okay, please identify yourselves before you speak so that we know who's making the motion.
This is Patricia.
Thank you, Patricia. Thank you for the second. Again, any questions, concerns on the motion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Jason Beebe?
Aye.
Janet Hutchison?
Aye.
Patricia Youngman?
Aye.
Gail Merritt?
Aye.
Jeff Papke?
Aye.
Teresa Rumble, are you on with us yet?
Oh, I am. Aye.
Thank you. And the mayor votes aye as well, so we have a unanimous approval. Moving on to council business. Is there a motion from anyone coming out of the conversation in the executive session?
This is Janet Hutchison. I'll make a motion. I move to instruct the city manager to pursue a potential land purchase as discussed in the executive session.
Is there a second?
This is Councilor Merritt. I'll second it.
Thank you. Are there any questions or concerns? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Jason Beebe?
Aye.
Janet Hutchison?
Aye.
Patricia Youngman?
Aye.
Gail Merritt?
Aye.
Jeff Papke?
Aye.
Teresa Rumble,
Aye.
and the mayor votes aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Let's move on then to staff reports and requests. Muriel DeLavergne-Brown, would you care to share with us on issues with the COVID as it's going?
So thank you for having me, and I'll just give you a quick update of kind of what's going on. As of today, we have 19 cases in Crook County. We have one death, which you know about, and our condolences go out to the family. That was really hard, and we understand that. We have, as far as counties in Oregon, we are actually ranked 28th. And if it's further down the list, you're better. So we're ranked 28th as far as our cases per 10,000. We're at 7.7. So we continue to, even though we've had some jump in numbers, we continue to meet the 6 out of 6 metrics right now. And part of that is because our case numbers are lower. If we had higher case numbers at some of these, we would have trouble in some of those requirements. So as an example, new cases in the last 7 days, and this was actually the report at the end of last week. We want to keep it below 5%. We were at 200%. And new cases not traced to a known source, we want to keep it below 30%. We were at 67%. So those are ones we're kind of watching. I think one thing that is very positive is one of our metrics that we measure is our response time. So we are to investigate a case and start the process within 24 hours. And we have to be at 95% or higher, and we have been 100% all along. We very quickly, when we get a report, we follow up on that and try to find all the contacts and make all the kind of the work that we have to do. So right now I have 2 nurses that are focusing on investigation. I have 2 others that are trained to do that. I have 3 staff who are contact tracers, kind of part-time. They work in other areas, but I can pull them to help. They're just learning. The nurses have been doing this up to this point, but I also hired a full-time staff person who started on Monday. She's bilingual, and we're very happy to have her back. She's one of our employees that left and then decided she really missed us, so she came back. She already knows the health department, knows the systems, and so she's going to jump right in. She has her contact tracing training on Wednesday, and she will probably end up working with some of the newer cases that we have. I think the other thing for people to know, as an example, when you think of a case and think about you have, there is a case and we have this number of cases, on average, there are 10 contacts, and for every contact, we actually have them set up that we text them every day, or they text us and let us know how they're doing. Is anything going on? Do they have any symptoms? And so we have to monitor them for 14 days. So if you have a new case where you have, say, 25 contacts, you have to do that with each of those individuals. I will say everyone that we have contacted in Crook County and worked with has been incredibly thankful. We have helped them with food. We have helped them with some housing if they needed it, to find a place. If they were visiting or something like that, we've helped with basically some wraparound services to make sure that people are taken care of. We're also working with the state right now. They're looking at a program around wage replacement. So that is not rolled out yet, but they're trying to work on that. So we're really trying to minimize any stress on those individuals while they are in isolation. So that's sort of one of our jobs, and we work at that really hard just to make sure they're taken care of. I think the biggest thing for us is really reminding people that this isn't going away. I heard some data today that they're concerned that within a month, if the cases increase at the rate they are increasing, that the metro area hospitals will be at almost capacity, and in 90 days throughout the rest of the state if things continue. I do believe that you also have to look at what's happening in rural Oregon. We've had some really large numbers in Malheur, Umatilla, many of those counties. So we are not immune to this. So I continue to encourage people to wear face covering, to really watch their distance and to wash their hands. And I think it's not just about protecting yourself and you thinking, well, I don't need a mask. I'm not going to get this. When we ask you to wear a mask, it's really to protect everybody around you. And the more people are willing to help out and help out our community, the less number of cases we will have. So I think that's sort of the big message I have for tonight.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Muriel?
I have a question, Mayor.
Yes, Dave.
Muriel, one of the things that I'd like for you to just touch on, if you could, please, is with respect to some of the treatments and what appears to be, if you're looking at the data and don't know a lot, like somebody like me, is the mortality rate seems to be improving in that we've had more cases, but the number of people that we're losing to this tragic pandemic seems to not follow or been correlating like it was a month ago. Is that a fair statement? And if so, can you elaborate a little bit?
I mean, I think it's a fair statement. I think part of it is when it first started, I'm not sure if the whole system was kind of ready for everything that was happening. So I think that, we're testing, we're trying to make sure that people aren't sitting at home with symptoms that, and as far as getting really, really sick and not going into medical care. The thing that is kind of, the thing that's scary is when you have someone who isn't very sick, they feel pretty well and have minimal symptoms, and we still lose them. That's the case. Deschutes County just had their first death. The person actually went to the hospital on Monday with a few symptoms and passed away on Tuesday. So that is frightening, to say the least, because it can happen so quick. And I think that's the things we don't know about this virus are the parts that worry all of us. So one of the things we're hoping, and Steve and I had talked about, is there is a lot of work being done on treatments and vaccines, but there's many companies working on this. I do know that I've heard there's several that are sort of in stage 3 of testing, but it will still be a while. And then, who gets the vaccine? I've been through this before with H1N1. So there's always this tier system of how that works. And it's usually healthcare workers and high-risk individuals are typically kind of those first individuals that receive vaccine. But the other thing I worry about is there's much more of a anti-vaccine now than there was back when we had H1N1. And I do have some concern about that, just in that we still have to reach a certain number of people vaccinated. And we're not finding that immunity necessarily happens when you've been sick. So that is the other thing that's kind of worrisome about this virus.
This is Teresa. So a couple of questions that I have, and I've heard from the community also, is how do we get through this in the end if a lot of people just feel like we're dodging it at this point. And I guess the concern is like the flu, people run around, they live their daily lives, it's a virus, if you get the flu, you get the flu, I understand there's death rates with the flu and things like that, but we get through it to where there's an end of flu season.
Right.
How do we get through the end of this season where we don't have masks and we get back to normal? A lot of people don't want this to be our new normal, including me.
It is going to be the new normal until we have treatment or vaccine. This is not like influenza. This is different. This is more deadly than influenza. And it doesn't, I think because there's some unknowns about it still. The other thing is if you look at the data of some people that have had it and the type of medical issues they have after they've had it are really serious. And that's very different than the flu.
Okay.
So, influenza. So I think, I mean, I know it's hard for all of us. And I think the best message is we just have to have patience, knowing that we will have a vaccine, and knowing that this is a pandemic, and it is not easy, and we just have to kind of stay the course to try to keep as many people healthy as possible.
So you had mentioned that people that have had it before are not necessarily immune from getting it again. Is that correct?
Yes. We've seen cases where people have gotten it a second time. Not right here, but in the research, it definitely, or we've seen that across the country. That doesn't necessarily protect them from getting it.
So is this the same exact strain that's strain that's going across the world then? Or, there's, I guess, it kind of morphs itself from country to country often?
It is the same. I mean, it is the same virus. I think part of it is they're not sure how sometimes it's going to react, and it does things differently. Because, as an example, some of the new things that happen with kids, they hadn't seen that before. So I think it's a new virus, and it's somewhat more in the family of SARS, which was very, very deadly, than it is on the influenza side. So one other quick thing that we are doing, we are working with school districts, and really I'm actually on the governor's task force or governor's council for reopening schools, and there's a large group of people on that, really looking at what's possible. Schools are working on plans. Public health is involved in that across the state to try to make it as healthy as possible, and sort of looking at we don't have to approve the plan, but we're giving guidance on what should be in the plan to protect everybody in those school districts. So we don't know what that means if things get worse. I mean, I think the governor said the other day, a lot of things, there's nothing that's not on the table if things got really worse. So, and I think probably one other point I would make is that it's up to, our businesses, we want the businesses to stay open. And it's up to our community and up to our businesses to stay open. And so by protecting everybody and protecting themselves, they stay open. So I think that's the other message. It's really up to our, economic community to work to protect everybody to not have to shut down again. And that, I think that's really critical because we're really at a challenging place right now with the cases increasing across the state.
So what you're saying is we really genuinely need to take responsibility for our actions and our behaviors and hold other folks accountable for being responsible for those.
Yeah, I would say that, definitely.
Muriel, this is Patricia. Youngman. Just wondering, what is our capacity here in Central Oregon with regards to the ICU beds? Are we near capacity or full?
Not at this point. We have, so one of the things St. Charles just did, which is really helpful, is they now on their webpage have a special page that shows how many patients they have and how many are on ventilators. So I think currently, I was thinking it was 6 and 3 on ventilators. I'm thinking that's what I looked at last. But you can always go to the St. Charles website now, and they just started doing that this week.
Thank you.
Other questions for Muriel?
Muriel, this is Janet Hutchison. You said that we were 28th in Oregon, so is that counties that you're talking about, the 28 counties?
Yeah,
sorry. And how many counties are there in Oregon?
There's 30, well, 3 of the counties actually make one health district, but there's 36 total.
Okay, thank you. I had one other question when you were talking about the vaccines and different testing that's going on. You said we were in phase 3. So how many phases are there?
Oh, for tests. So what they do, there's this whole process that happens with the development of vaccines, and they test a small number of people, and then they test a larger number of people, and then they test like 10,000. So it kind of depends on the company on how they're doing that, but I think, I know I read of one the other day for sure. I think there are a lot of vaccine companies that are working on this, so I'm hoping that we have a vaccine sooner than later. I think many of us in public health feel that way. And then we've been working with St. Charles a lot on testing, and we're also right now developing a plan with St. Charles and others on if we had a mass testing type of event like happened in Union County, being ready to respond to that.
Thank you.
So so I saw a news release where we were low on ventilators statewide. Are we getting any of our ventilators back from New York?
You know, I would assume, I know New York is reaching out to numerous states and offering help, so I would assume so if we needed them. I think one of the things that is happening right now, though, is testing supplies have continued to be a challenge. There's also a challenge for us in Central Oregon and in Oregon in general. And it's partly because when you have spikes happening in places like Florida, Texas, California that have really large populations, there's only so many testing supplies. And you try to build that up, but there's this whole kind of chain that's happening with testing. And so, we're in pretty good shape, and but I think we'll have to pay attention to that.
And is there, my last question, and I'm sorry I have
It's okay. It's okay.
Any correlation between the increase in testing and the increasing in positive tests with the...
That actually is not a correlation. And what you look at is you actually look at the positivity rate. So if you look across the country and look at positivity rate, you can do more tests, but if your positivity rate only stays at like 5%, it does not mean that the increased cases are due to that. It's just that you're having more cases. Okay. So it really isn't related to, there's that whole question that comes up. It's not related to that, actually. It's more about the relationship of what the positivity test is on those numbers of tests. And if the percentage is staying equal, it can still go up as far as the cases.
So did they have any of the regular or the prerequisites for testing like they did before? I have two friends that we are like 99% positive they had COVID, but they didn't meet the metrics to get tested.
So there's a couple ways that you can. There are some clinics. I'll actually send Steve the list. We're going to post it on the website. I got a new list that shows all the places you can be tested in Central Oregon. Some are drive-through. Some you still have to have your physician's order. But as far as antibody testing, to know if you've had it in the past, one of the things I've told people is if you donate blood now, they will tell you if you have the antibody. So,
but you can still get it again.
Encourage people to donate blood. Yeah.
But you can still get it again even if you have the antibodies, correct?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah.
Okay. So like to go through a drive-through, is that paid by health insurance? Is that out of pocket? Is it free?
So you still have to have an order from your physician. Here's the thing I tell people is, obviously, if you're symptomatic, you can go, you potentially call your physician or call, if it's St. Charles, call them ahead of time. But so you still need an order from your doctor. If you have the order, then you can go through and get tested. I think that's sort of the big glitch for some people. As far as the payment, I mean, insurance does pay for it, but I'm not sure the whole process, and depending on where you go, kind of how that works for everybody. But
so the drive-thrus are still driven by a physician's order?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
can't just go to McDonald's and then go get a COVID test right after.
Probably not. So the one thing I will check, though, I will check with my staff. There's a couple other offices, I know in Redmond that are doing drive-through, and I'm not sure what all their rules are. So one of the things, this came up today, and I had told one of my staff I was actually going to make a cheat sheet that had, here's what every clinic is doing. We can kind of give it to people and say, okay, you can do this here. It's a little bit different here. So that was sort of on my to-do list. So, because those questions do come up a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. Sorry.
No worries.
Muriel, thank you very much for sharing that with us this evening.
Sure.
Mayor Uffelman?
Anytime.
Yes.
I have just one quick question for Muriel. I guess, from my point of view, I feel like individuals, we're kind of in charge to a point of slowing this and stopping this.
Yeah.
So from that point of view, what are the things I should be doing to keep myself and maybe more importantly, keeping others as safe as I can?
Yeah, I would agree. And I think what I always tell, it's sort of like when I talk to my judge and commissioners, or I told the department heads last week, or maybe this week, I don't know, time flies, is that we have to set an example. And, that's sort of, I look at the city, I look at city council, and we have to set an example and show that we're here to protect our community. So I think that's also really important.
So to set that example, what the things we need to be doing are?
Wearing masks or face covering, washing your hands, and 6 feet distance. Those are kind of as they said in the press conference the other day, it's the 3 W's. It's like wear a face covering, watch your distance, and wash your hands.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions? Last question? Okay,
I
Muriel,
don't. This is
Right.
Janet Hutchison. I don't have a question. I just want to thank you, Muriel, for coming on and giving us the information, because it's so important for us to be updated on what's going on in the community. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you. And I want to thank my staff. They are working, and doing a great job. So.
Thank you. And share that thanks with them as well.
Yeah, thanks, Muriel.
Okay, let's move on. Mr. Forrester, do you have a city manager's report for us?
Thank you, Mayor. I have a short report tonight. Starting off with Street Superintendent Scott Smith is expecting the city parking lot remodel to be completed this week. That's the city parking lot down on 4th Street. Or if not this week, early like Monday on the 20th at the latest. So please take time to check out this much needed improvement for our community. And by the way, I think it looks great. Nice job, Scott and team on getting that rehabilitated. I know we had a lot of help from his crew, also Josh and Casey, I know, participated in that. So it just looks great. What an upgrade. From the finance department, preliminary feedback from our auditors is as expected, with no significant issues to report. This is consistent with what we've seen for many, many years when we get this preliminary feedback report. And we anticipate another solid audit report for our city later this year. So congratulations to Liz and Lori and the team in finance as we continue to develop and present award-winning budgets and very, very positive audits for the city of Prineville. And finally tonight, just Justice, Justice, Equality, Diversity, and Inclusion update. We are set per council direction for a council workshop coming up on July 28th. Prior to the city council meeting, again starting approximately 5:15 and ending at 6:15. We will be sharing our history, where we're at with the Jedi training, our accreditation, or procedural justice from our public safety folks, and future training schedules. But most importantly, that evening we'll be spending our time, the majority of our time, hearing from stakeholders on their ideas and suggestions to continue to apply Jedi principles to our city processes. So just a reinforcement of the foundation we've already begun building, and we look forward to getting those inputs coming up here in a couple weeks. That concludes my report. Are there any questions?
Well, just a comment. We had hoped to do that gathering face-to-face, but with the new restrictions, that we will undoubtedly be doing that.
That is correct.
On virtual access, so.
Yep.
Any council members have questions for the manager or comments? Yeah, that parking lot looks excellent, but folks, keep in mind that they blocked off 4th Street access and egress out of that, so all of the access to that parking lot will come from the side street, so that's a nice improvement. Moving on, are there any committee reports? Are there any comments or concerns that any of the councilors would like to raise for the rest of the council? You're a quiet group tonight. Okay. Well, hearing none, then let's move on. There are no ordinances. We have resolution number 1451, amending solar lease agreement with Westlake Solar Panels. Eric, Jered, who's going to take the lead on this?
I'll defer to Jered.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. The council has before tonight Resolution 1451. The council may remember that we did a lease agreement on April 1st, 2020 with Westlake Solar Panels for a solar farm development near the wastewater plant west of town. The reason for this is that in discussions with Westlake Solar Panels in regards to the solar array, I realized that there was a bit of an oversight in our original lease agreement in which we did not clarify that easements that are created as a result of the lease agreement would be revoked at the end of the lease. It was implied in the original lease agreement that they would be revoked, but with an easement and with any sort of property rights, we always want to be very clear on the start and end date, and that's the reason for the amendment.
So this has no adverse effect at all whatsoever on the agreement, just clarification of loophole.
Yeah, it's just clarification.
Okay.
Yeah, so for instance, if the lease agreement were to end, one may argue that the easement still existed because it wasn't revoked.
Does anyone have any questions about resolution number 1451? Is there a motion to approve resolution number 1451, a resolution amending a solar lease agreement with Westlake Solar Panels?
Yeah, this is Councilor Beebe. I'll make the motion to approve resolution 1451.
Second, this is Teresa.
Thank you, Teresa, for your second, and thank you, Jason, for your motion. Again, any concerns, questions? Hearing none, we'll go through a vote by poll. Jason Beebe?
Aye.
Janet Hutchison?
Aye.
Patricia Youngman?
Aye.
Gail Merritt?
Aye.
Jeff Papke?
Aye.
Teresa Rumble?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye as well. Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to resolution number 1452, declaring the city of Prineville as an inclusive city. Mr. Forrester.
Thank you, Mayor. So one of the things I'd remind council of is if you review our mission statement, one of the pillars and most important Prineville being a safe, welcoming, and friendly place to live, work, and play. We last updated that in 2016. And, we're very serious about that, and we've been very serious about that even prior to 2016, when the similar words were in that mission statement. Recently, we had a request for a proclamation regarding the city of Prineville to be an inclusive city. In speaking with legal counsel, we felt that a proclamation was inappropriate and that a more appropriate mechanism would be stated in a resolution that confirms our commitment to inclusivity within the city of Prineville. And from my perspective, also reinforces the foundation that we've been building now for many years. That is the motion that is in front of you tonight in the form of Resolution 1452. And I divert to Jered if you have any comments to add to that.
I don't have much to add. I think it confirms the mission that the city adopted in 2016 and further commits that it is indeed an inclusive city like the council's been working for quite some time.
Yeah. And as I see this motion moving forward, it is consistent with our mission statement, and it supports our commitment to maintain fully accredited police and dispatch departments and fully implement procedural justice practices. It's a common thread and foundational to the city of all human resources and hiring policies and procedures, and it further strengthens our council goals and for all city operations and strengthening planning. And it also strengthens our commitment to continuous improvement in all that we do. And lastly, I think it strengthens our position in recruiting industry to our community by being, we have companies now in our community that these types of concerns are very significant to whether they would want to locate in a community like Prineville or not. So with that, the resolution puts it in writing, and I would like to see this move forward. So does anyone have any questions about resolution number 1452?
Mayor, this is Councilman Beebe. I don't have a question, but I do have a statement that this just goes to show you that opening up those lines of communication with the city and our groups in Central Oregon and in our city especially, what we can do if we open up those lines of communication. We can accomplish something. This accomplished something great for the city, and I'm proud to have sat in on some of the talks around this, and I hope that we can continue to move forward with this aspect.
Thank you, Jason. Other comments or questions or concerns? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve resolution number 1452, a resolution declaring the city of Prineville as an inclusive city?
This is Patricia Youngman, and I would like to make a motion to approve resolution 1452, declaring the city of Prineville as an inclusive city.
Thank you, Patricia. Is there a second?
This is Janet Hutchison, and I will second that.
Thank you, Janet. Are there any questions or concerns moving forward? Hearing none, we'll go through a roll call vote. Mr. Beebe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Hutchinson?
Aye.
Patricia Youngman?
Aye.
Gail Merritt?
Aye.
Jeff Papke?
Aye.
Teresa Rumble?
You're on mute, Teresa.
Teresa, you're on mute.
Aye.
Thank you. And the mayor votes aye as well. We have unanimous approval of that. Thank you. Let's move on to resolution number 1453, which is a resolution declaring the city of Prineville policies regarding public comment during COVID-19 pandemic. Jered, Reid.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. What you have in front of you tonight is a resolution that is based upon the passage of the House Bill 4212 by the Oregon Legislature, which was passed in the special session and effective June 30th, 2020. In effect, that House Bill, primarily for council, one of the big effects of it was that it codified much of the executive order that was directed towards public meetings. And it really codified that we will continue to be practicing not only social distancing, but also doing virtual meetings within our public meetings, and really doing that until the emergency is declared over. So based on that, there's been some concern from staff regarding, so really since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, that we've struggled somewhat at developing policies and procedures regarding public comment for the community during council meetings. Some cities have actually taken the approach that public comment will only be allowed during a public hearing and not being given an opportunity to actually give public comment at a council. That is supported by law to go that route. However, we've always taken the approach of allowing for public comment to be submitted by mail or email. The resolution before you today both codifies that procedure, but more importantly delineates the method for the public to submit public comment during the COVID-19 pandemic, and it really outlines how it would be presented to the public through mail and email forms.
Are there any questions? Pretty quiet group. Okay, if no one has any questions, is there a motion to approve resolution number 1453, a resolution declaring the city of Prineville policies regarding public comment during COVID-19 pandemic?
This is Councilor Merritt. I'll move to approve resolution number 1453.
Is there a second?
This is Councilor Beebe. I'll second that.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. All right. Again, are there any questions or concerns about resolution number 1453 moving this forward? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Jason Beebe.
Aye.
Janet Hutchison.
Aye.
Patricia Youngman.
Aye.
Gail Merritt.
Aye.
Jeff Papke.
Aye.
Teresa Rumble. You're muted, Teresa.
I'm trying to read packet stuff too. Aye.
Thank you. And the mayor votes aye as well. That makes a unanimous vote. And that is it for resolutions. Which brings us our next agenda item, which is visitors' appearances and requests, which we have just addressed with the passage of the last resolution. We have a large amount of public comments that are within your packets and have been posted online. Please remember that if you would like to submit public comment to be part of the record, you must either mail the comment to the City of Prineville, attention Lisa Morgan, 387 Northeast 3rd Street, Prineville, Oregon, or by email at cityhall@cityofprineville.com. Those comments must be received no later than 4 p.m. on the date of the scheduled council meeting. Any public comments will be uploaded to our website and provided to all city council. They will also be included in any minutes. Please remember that you must provide your name and address. The reason that we ask this qualification is because we need to know if you are a constituent of the council. Consistent with the resolution previously passed, contact information by persons providing public comment will not be made available to the public. Thank you for your participation. All persons, thoughts, and perspectives are appreciated. Again, identification of addresses will be redacted, both the street address as well as email address, so that information will not be made available to the public. And that...
Can I add just a tidbit comment?
Sure.
I just want to remind everyone, including the public, and to get this on record, that not all council members are on Facebook. Facebook is not the official place to put comment. As you know, I was admin of a large Facebook site for the community of Prineville for quite a while, and I've always encouraged people to contact us directly. And so I can't encourage people enough that being on Facebook and commenting on Facebook, and having comments may be important for the community as a whole, but if you want your elected officials to hear your comments, see your comments, and read your comments, those need to come directly to the specified avenue.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments for the good of the order? Hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
This is Teresa. I'd make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
This is Patricia. I'll second that.
Thanks to both of you. Jason Beebe, how do you vote?
Aye.
Janet Hutchison?
Aye.
Patricia Youngman?
Aye.
Gail Merritt?
Aye.
Jeff Papke?
Aye.
Teresa Rumble?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye, and we are adjourned. Thank you very much for this evening.